Good morning. I am in Montana, and I'm not going to say, my God, what a beautiful state, because I always say that every single time that I do a video, but wow, what a gorgeous state. I have to say that this state has a very different feeling than many of the states that I've been to. And so far, there's only one, two, three, four, five states I have left to go to that I haven't been to. And so out of, what does that leave? Well, I didn't go to Alaska, so that's six. So about out of 43 states, um, Montana feels very different than the other 43. So, and I will do a shaman short on that because it's very, very palpable. Um, anyway, I wanted to touch base with you guys because I've been in Montana, and if any of you know anything about Montana, it's the wild, open range that goes on forever and big skies and no reception. So I have not had uh, phone reception for a few days. And I just got into Whitefish, which is a town in Montana. And I'm right at the base of the Glacier National Park, which I'm going to go explore tomorrow or Thursday. Um, so anyway, I wanted to touch base with you guys because I realized that the 5 units are up. You guys are probably catching up. Some of you are just starting. Some of you are biting at the bit for more. And the next unit is about going deeper, and it's taking these little bite-sized nuggets that I've given you this week and running with it. Um, when we can really effectively change our lives and step into our powerful shoes and live the most authentic life that we possibly can, um, that is how we change the world. And it's a very it's a very powerful way of changing the world, because you not only become that radiant beacon in the world and you're imprinting your quantum field with all of these ideals and yearnings of your soul, but you're also rising that frequency, and anything around you rises to that same frequency. That's just the law of quantum physics. And the more we do our work, the higher we vibrate. I hate to use those words, but that is true. Is the higher we vibrate, the higher we raise up that energy within ourselves, and then people around us, they get inspired by the change that they see us going through, and they are inspired enough sometimes to do their own work, and so it has this ripple effect, which is really quite beautiful to watch. I see it in the mentorship all the time, where people come in and maybe just kind of finding their way and not knowing exactly how to feel as vulnerable as they could be or want to be. And then they see somebody else in the group just really go there, and it gives them permission to do the same thing. And so they do. And then the next person, and the next person, and the next person. And really, that's one of the reasons why I think the community is so tight in the mentorship, is because we really hold that space for each other to go through that work. And we really, we have a very deep kinship, whether you are new to the mentorship or you've been there for your second, third year. There's this acceptance and this safety that happens in there that is unmatched by anything I've ever seen. And so that lends itself to creating this environment where we can really go deep, and go deeper than we ever have before. Even me as a facilitator, as a teacher, I am allowed to go deep also. On this journey, I've had quite a few breakdowns, and the group I go to is the mentorship. The peeps in there, I know that they've got my back. I know that there's not any judgment, and for me to be able to be human and to be in this role of teaching and facilitating, um, And and that comes with having to feel like there's a certain um, image you want to portray, that you're strong and you've got it all together and all this stuff. But the truth is, as long as I'm breathing, I'm working too. I'm right alongside of you working. And the people in the mentorship, they understand that. And so we give each other that space, which is really, really awesome. And now for you guys, you've got a couple of choices. You can keep nibbling on this work that I've given you this week, and something that feels like it resonates, that you really need to explore it further, um, then do explore it further. Get some books, find some teachers, do some workshops, whatever you need to do. But the idea is, don't drop it here. This was just a taste test. This was literally skimming the surface of what we do in the mentorship. This is, and I do this each season. I offer up a little taste test of what we do, so that you can have an idea of what energy you need to be working with in this direction, and give you some ideas of how to do that. What I would love for you to do is to come into the mentorship. I mean, let me be honest. I really, I, I've taught for a long time. I'm going on 30 years of teaching, teaching specifically spiritual type things. And over the course of those 30 years, sometimes I've taught other people stuff, but most of the time I teach my own stuff. And about 15 years ago, I began teaching the medicine wheel. And actually, oh my gosh, 20 years ago, I began teaching the medicine wheel. And out of everything that I taught, the medicine wheel made the most sense. And it was really just a powerful framework, container for being able to show somebody how to take a situation or a piece of their life into the medicine wheel and really work with it and see how the energies play, and how to bring in the different energies of the different directions, and to really live a full-on life. And I live the medicine wheel every day. I live the medicine wheel. Um, I've never met a spiritual tool that is as powerful as this one. And so I tend to stick with what works, and that works for me, and it works for a lot of people. We've been doing the mentorship now. We're on our third year, and I've seen it change lives. I've seen the mentorship change lives, literally, and just really profoundly. And you'll hear from some of these folks. I think they'll probably write down below some of their experiences, what they've had in this mentorship. And so I say with great confidence that if you chose to come into the mentorship, I have no doubt, I have absolutely, positively no doubt that your life will change. And as a result of that, you need to be ready for that. It's it's one thing to say that you want change, and then there's another thing where it actually starts happening, and then you're forced to kind of live up to that more authentic, powerful life. And for some people, that's really scary. For some people, that's a step that they're not wanting to take, because it means change. And and I relate to that. Sometimes I've gotten complacent in my life where things were just kind of status quo. They were comfortable. Why change if something's comfortable? That's what happened to me last year. And I got too comfortable with where I was, and I decided that I wasn't growing as much as I wanted to or needed to. And there were still some things within me that needed to be unleashed, and that I needed to reclaim. I needed to reclaim some of my power. And so I went on this journey. And my God, yeah. Talk about a radical change. So I encourage you to at least explore the possibility of coming into the mentorship. We're actually just opening up the enrollment today for the general public. We have already enrolled quite a few people and re-enrolled quite a few people during a pre-enrollment that we do each time, where those folks get a discount. But since you guys are really powerfully present in doing this work, I want to offer that discount to you guys. We're going to offer a coupon code for this group only, so please do not share the coupon code with anybody else. And this just gives you a chance to, make it a little bit more affordable. But and to touch on that, because I have great sympathy and empathy for those of you who are struggling financially. That was most of my life. I used to live paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes not even then. It was, I had to make some really tough decisions, and a lot of times when I was in my early 20s, I used to just cry out to God, like, please, just somebody give me a break. And then along the line, there were some people who gave me some breaks, and which was really awesome. But what happened really for me, I had to change the lack mentality. And because I grew up with, my father was an accountant, and here you're going to learn a little story about me, about my background. When I was 18, I was given a bill for my childhood, and it was about $18,000 that he fully expected me to pay. And it was for things like, when I was 13, I asked for a stamp so I could send a letter to my grandma, or I wanted a new shirt, or whatever. And in his mind, he was trying to teach me the importance and the accountability of money. But what it did was it set up for me to feel like I was always behind. I was always in lack. And so when I began teaching the medicine wheel, I started taking that particular frame of mind to the wheel, which is what I call it, take it to the wheel, and started looking at it from every direction, every aspect. And so from the east, where I was in my childhood, and that's those formative years where you're really beginning to kind of develop that self-esteem and your sense of self-worth and confidence and things like that, those never really fully developed in me, because I was always under this umbrella of there's not enough. I was the baby in the family, so I wore the hand-me-downs, and I never really got to have new clothes at the beginning of the new school year. Occasionally I did, but so my self-esteem and my confidence and all of that was kind of lacking. And I really didn't have a sense of direction. I was always taking jobs just to make money, not taking jobs because it was my passion. And that was a huge difference. And then when I looked at the south direction, it was that sense of codependence, because what it built up in me was I needed to be dependent on other people to help me, to help make ends meet, to feel good about myself, to feel like I always owed somebody something. And then when I came to the West, my typical MO was I would shop at thrift stores and buy used furniture and, rely on other people to have things. And my external world was like a hand-me-down. And I really didn't have a lot of boundaries because I didn't feel worthy enough to have boundaries. And then when I went to the north direction and looked at that and went really deep within and looked at the spiritual side of my life, I felt like I was lacking any depth in my spiritual practices, because I was just always searching for something better. So as I began teaching the medicine wheel and discovering all of this and looking at that framework of like, wow, okay, so this sense of this lack of abundance that stemmed from my childhood really had nothing to do with me at all. Nothing to do with me. And yet it did. It affected me. And I took it on. I owned it. I owned it completely. I wore that baby out. And slowly, I began to shift my world according to the medicine wheel. And I looked at uh, what do what do I want to do, even if I didn't get paid. What would I do, even if I didn't get paid? And that showed me what my passion was. And then I began to really, I worked with East and West direction a lot simultaneously. I would take everything I had and I would go buy a new shirt or a new pair of pants or a new couch. The first time I bought new furniture, like brand spanking new, I felt like a queen. And I remember sitting in my living room one day and I had my feet kicked back, sitting on my new couch, my feet on my new coffee table, having a glass of wine, and said, you know what? I earned this. I earned this. And as I began doing this, what happened and shifted for me was this catapult into reframing my quantum field. I began having an abundant mindset instead of a lack of abundance. And out of nowhere, I can't even describe how it all shifted, but I began never worrying about money. And my relationship began changing because now my relationship to people wasn't based on what can they do for me or what do they feel, what need do they fill. It was, hey, I really like you. I really want to have a relationship with you because I enjoy your company. I don't need you, but I really like being around you. And that was monumental for me. I mean, that was just monumental. My relationship to my family changed. It was no longer this anger that was seething inside of me or this blame or, me playing victim anymore. That wasn't a part of my vocabulary anymore. And, as a result, um, my best friends are blood relatives. My sister, my brother, my mother, my dad, even before he died, we had a great relationship. And, and I am grateful. I am grateful for that, especially. Because I have a lot of people in my life who have struggles with their family, and I don't. My family, we're solid. And so my entire world began to shift when I started working with the medicine wheel, and from the context of really looking at things minutely, and from each direction, and finding the origins, and then seeing how they kind of played out, and then really figuring out what do I want instead of that, and how do I use the energy of the medicine wheel in those different directions to bring that forward and bring that flavor out. And it worked. It really, really worked. And now, I don't even, I don't really, I don't worry about where the money's going to come from paycheck to paycheck. I don't live that way anymore. I don't have any debt. And, and part of what all of that taught me, I always talk about how the shadow pieces teach you. What a lot of that taught me was that we live in a world, in a society that really glorifies always being under the thumb of somebody else, and debt included. And it creates this energy that's really not conducive to the human spirit. And so I chose a long time ago that if I didn't have the money to pay for it, I wouldn't buy it. And I still live by that to this day. So my truck is the only thing that I owe money on. And that's minor. But so for me, it was a matter of, what kind of life do I want to live? And then creating that life and then being able to kind of frame it out. And whenever I start to feel that slip or that teeter-totter kind of go the other direction, I pull back and I look at it from the perspective of the medicine wheel again, and I see the next layer that needs to be peeled back, and the next layer, and the next layer, and so on and so forth. And so actually last year, I had all the trappings. I had, I lived in the mountains on 25 acres or something like that, and beautiful home, retreat center, everything that I wanted. And yet there was something that was lacking in the south direction, and in the east direction, and I saw where the energy was really out of balance in my medicine wheel. And the only thing I knew to do was to shake it up. And so I did. I shook it up, and I trusted the process. I trusted that I would be taken care of. I trusted that my intuition was right on. And I go on this journey, and I put everything into storage that I can, and pack what I need to in the car. And what I've learned on this journey is what I really don't need, and what I um, what I desire, what is most important to me. New furniture is no longer the most important thing in my life. Having deep relationships is. Having a safety net is. Feeling really deeply connected to people that I can count on at any time of the day, that's really important to me. Having 23 acres, not important. Having a 3,000 square foot home, not important to me anymore. What is important is that I have a place that's comfortable, that I am allowed to explore. Freedom is important to me. And I never would have learned all of this if I had not allowed myself to take that plunge and to trust in that unknown. And that's what I did. And I share that journey with each and every one of you guys because I feel like it's a reminder to your soul that you have that in you. You have the ability to really step up into your authentic, most powerful self. And if this isn't your time to do that, that's fine. It will come. And if it is your time to do it, then by God, you better do it. Enough playing around, enough playing small, enough playing victim, and enough with the lack of abundance attitude. We live in an absolutely abundant universe. There is no reason, no barrier to tapping into that abundance except for the part of yourself that doesn't believe that you are worthy. And that's the piece that I had to heal. And that's what I took to the wheel. And that's what I am a living testament of the work that can be done in the medicine wheel. And I hear all the time, oh, Dakota, you're so lucky. You get to travel, you get to do this, you have the perfect life, you blah, 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 you're living your passion. I hear it all the time. And I'm grateful that I hear it all the time because it reinforces me to look at, I'm not lucky. I listened, and I acted, and I created, and I manifested, and I did it. And so can every single one of you. I am no different. I just grabbed a hold of the reins and went. And sometimes I went screaming with my heels in front of me and dragging my feet and just saying, no! That happened a lot, but I still went. There were times when I had like the last $100 in my checking account, and there was something I knew I needed to that would just push me past that next edge, and I just went for it. Whether it was a workshop or a book or whatever it was, and then somehow it always worked out. I always had an unexpected massage appointment come in with an extra big tip or something that would replenish that coffer. And if any of you are in the slightest path of your spiritual path, you will know that that's true, that you've always been taken care of. You don't know, and afterwards you think, why did I even worry about it? I always know I'm going to be taken care of. So I just offer that to you because I know a lot of people struggle with the investment. And there's a reason why there's an investment. One is because I put a hell of a lot of energy into this mentorship. You're not going to find a program, I don't think, that is any better than this one. There is a lot of love that goes into it. There's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a team of us who really do our best to create the most sacred and safe space for you to do this work. I know the community. I know the work. I know the content, and it's rich, and it deserves to have a price tag. And the other piece of that is that if you don't invest in yourself, you won't invest the time. You won't invest the energy. If you've got some skin in the game, then you're more apt to do the work. And that's what I see with this mentorship. Actually, I mean, we have people who are entering into their second year consecutively. They keep going around the wheel. I have a few people who are in their third year, and it's because they made that investment in themselves, and they're going to squeeze every bit of energy out of it as they can, and then they reinvest. And and they're reinvesting in a program that they've already been through, but they're reinvesting again because they know the power of the work, and they know the power of the content and what is actually behind that door, and what the potential is within themselves. So anyway, we are opening the doors to enrollment today. And as a side note to that, we do have payment plans. And I really encourage you to just go within and do a meditation. Ask your guides, what is my next best step? Am I to go to the local bookstore and find a book on ancestral healing? Am I to find a small workshop on this one specific thing? Or am I to kind of keep going the path that I'm going? Or am I to join the mentorship? Or am I to wait until the next round when Dakota does another free workshop? Figure out what it is that is in your highest interest. What's going to move the needle for you? And whatever that answer is, then just do it. Just trust. And I really do promise you're not going to be disappointed. Whatever route you go, you're not going to be disappointed if you trust your intuition and the messages that you're getting. Now, if you're answering the question from a place of fear or ego, then yeah, you're not gonna get what you want. So really make sure that you're getting an honest assessment, an honest answer from yourself, from your soul. As for this, the work that you've just done this week, whether you did it here on YouTube or on the website or here in the Facebook group, we will have this up for about another 2 weeks, and then we will be shutting it down. And my focus then goes towards the mentorship, and everybody who's enrolled in that. And we've got a lot of work to do in the West direction, and I want to be fully present for that group of people who are ready to just dive in. And we've got the main Facebook group, so you can find your way back there. And we'll be posting some stuff in there too, and kind of keeping things kind of moving. I will say in the mentorship, we go into other stuff as well, including we do a 21-day soul recharge challenge, which will actually be running in the Facebook group. And you can, if you're not a part of the mentorship, you can actually join that. There's a small price for that, but you can join that group and do that challenge. We also do a lot of work on shadow work, and some of those things that there's a handful of things that we did not do in this group in this last teaching that we will do in the mentorship. And you also get weekly meditations, which is kind of what I'm known for. That's how most of you found me, was through your experience with one of my meditations. And so we offer that too every week. You actually get 13 meditations, not just the 9. And if you join as a wisdom keeper, you actually get access to 52 meditations at a time. So anyway, if you have any questions whatsoever, don't hesitate to reach out to me or Sherry or Leanne. You can email us, and you can also put a comment down below, and we'll get to you. We'll get your question answered. I will be doing a live Q&A on Facebook sometime this week. I would like to do it from Glacier National Park if I have reception up there. So we'll figure out that piece of it. You guys have a great day, and just keep digging away, excavating, and creating that beautiful external world that you dream about. And you've got a safe place here to land if you feel that's in your path. Bye, guys.